So if you've spent any time following AI news recently, it can seem like we're constantly on the brink of some kind of disaster, with AI about to take our jobs, crater the entire economy, or destroy our entire civilization. For example, in 2023, Sam Altman signed a public statement putting the risk of AI wiping out society on par with nuclear war. An Anthropic CEO has repeatedly said that there is a roughly 1 in 4 chance that AI is going to lead to some kind of global catastrophe. And then we have the recent Claude Mythos news, where Anthropic basically said that they have now created this new model that is so powerful that we cannot let people get their hands on it, and we need to nerf it behind the scenes first. And when you read all these doom and gloom predictions, especially coming directly from the AI companies themselves, it is very easy to get scared and to live in constant anxiety about what AI is going to do to our economy and jobs. And in fact, according to polls, most Americans today believe that AI is more likely to cause harm rather than good. But in this video, I'm going to tell you why these doom and gloom statements are part of a very specific strategy from the AI companies themselves, and why they actually want to make you fear their technologies. And at the end, I will leave you with some strategies on how you can stop believing in these stories and stop being caught up on fear and anxiety, and instead just continue living your life. But first, of course, we need to establish, are these doom and gloom predictions correct? Are they true? Well, because since the inception of these LLM tools in about 2023, and to be honest, even before that, there have been a lot of different predictions, and there's now been enough time since the first ones that we can actually look back at them and see if they actually came true. So let's just look at some examples. For example, in 2024, Elon Musk predicted that AI would be smarter than any single human by the end of 2025. Now it is 2026. Has that happened? No, it has not happened. Another example, Geoffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI, said back in 2016, so even much earlier than these LLM tools were about, that we should stop training radiologists because AI would replace them within 5 years. It is now 2026. More than 10 years later, and radiologists are still very much employed, and demand for them is in fact rising. And then there's the whole job apocalypse argument, which has been a big discussion, especially in the developer space. So Anthropic's own CEO said that AI would be writing 90% of code by September 2025. However, today independent estimates put that number more like 20 to 30%. And all this mass unemployment because of AI, especially in the developer space, hasn't really happened. And in fact, as I covered in detail in the previous video, demand for software engineers is rising today despite improvements in AI. And we have seen from a lot of companies who invested heavily into AI that they're now pulling back on this investment. They're actually rehiring a lot of the humans that they fired because they thought that AI was going to do their jobs, because a lot of these companies are realizing, even in some cases, that AI has actually turned out to be more expensive than they used AI to replace. As I've also realized myself, a lot of the time what happens with AI is that it's good in the beginning, but then when you get into something more complex, especially the kind of application that doesn't have a lot of examples for the AI to use from its training data, it kind of becomes very useless, and it's often just easier for a human who actually has the software engineering understanding to do it from scratch. So we see a pattern here. All these doom and gloom predictions that are not becoming true. So what do you think is the probability that all these predictions that they're making right now are going to become true? And what is it that all these predictions keep missing? Well, it's not bad luck. It's not just that they made a prediction that didn't turn out to be true. It's that from the get-go, it was the goal of these companies to make you believe this because it was actually very beneficial for their business. And to understand why that is the case, we first need to understand how does the AI industry actually work today in 2026. So if we look at all these AI companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, etc., at first they might seem like amazing companies. We can see, for example, with Anthropic that their annual run rate from 9 billion a year at the end of 2025 to over 30 billion this spring. And it's a similar story with a lot of these companies. Their revenue is growing at insane rates because of how much AI is being adopted in the world. And this might sound insane until you realize that revenue is not the same thing as profit, as it turns out. In fact, according to many reports, when it comes to cash flow, Anthropic lost $6 billion in 2024, $4 billion in 2025, and projected $11 billion this year. And of course, they're all claiming that profitability is just around the corner, we're about to reach profitability and all that kind of stuff. And maybe that's the case, but we don't really have much evidence of that. So given that a lot of these companies are actually losing money, losing a lot of money, how do they then keep raising more and more funding at higher and higher valuations? For example, Anthropic recently raised a new round of funding at a pre-money valuation of above $900 billion. And of course, because they're losing money, that is why they need to keep raising this new money so that they don't go bankrupt. So how do they do this? Well, they do that with one thing, which is hype. And this gets into why they want you to fear their technology. Because let's say you are an investor and you are looking at investing in one of these companies. If you just look at them at face value, like you would look at any other company, obviously it doesn't make any sense at these numbers, especially because they're losing money. And these AI companies know that. So the only way that they can convince you as the investor to buy them is by shifting the perspective into what is their future potential. Because if you are convinced by these AI companies that this technology is on a trajectory to literally change the entire world, it's going to replace every job, it's going to completely change our civilization, no matter what valuation they're giving you is going to be a bargain if this is what's going to become reality. So essentially, to get back to the question of why do they want you to fear their tech, well, really, they don't really care about whether you as the individual user fear it or not. All they really care about is what do the investors think? What do the people with the money think? If the people with the money think that these predictions are going to be true, they're going to want to put their money into these companies. And if it causes anxiety to you as a normal software developer or an individual using these to write or something like that, that's just kind of an inconvenient side effect that's not really important to them. It's not necessarily the goal, but just something that has to happen as a side effect. So that is the main reason. It is simply to get more and more rounds of funding at higher and higher valuations. But there's probably other reasons as well. One of them is going to be talent. So if you are trying to compete with all the other AI companies, you want to hire the best engineers to work on your product rather than the other AI products. Again, you want to appeal to the Silicon Valley mindset of grandiosity. You want to come across as the world-changing technology where if you work for us, you're working on the biggest technology ever that's completely going to change the world. That is the kind of mindset that simply appeals to a lot of Silicon Valley types. So it's going to make you more likely to be able to attract the best talent. And then you've got a concept called regulatory capture, because if you're one of these big AI companies and you say that our technology is so dangerous that it could destroy the economy if it's handled badly, it's much easier for you to claim to regulators that, hey, this technology is so dangerous that you can't let small companies develop their own AI. You need to let us, the established players with all the experience and the know-how, deal with this because we know how to do this responsibly. Very conveniently, that's going to put out a lot of potential competitors out of business and make it much more difficult for new companies to compete with you. And then it's also simply attention. Obviously, these companies are also competing for the attention of you as the consumer. And in many ways, these products are very similar. Does it really matter if you're using ChatGPT or Claude to code? Yeah, maybe there's some differences, but probably they're quite similar. So if they want to get your attention and they want to get you to use their tool rather than the competitor, they need to generate a lot of attention, because it also gets journalists to cover these stories, because journalists and also YouTubers like to make clickbait headlines. Fear obviously sells. So even though these journalists are not being paid by these companies or anything like that, for different reasons, they have their own incentives to cover these very shocking claims, because that's going to get people to click, that's going to get attention to their newspapers or their channels or something like that, which in turn gets more attention for these companies, which gets more people interested in these products and ultimately to use them. So as a conclusion, what does this mean for you? Does this mean that AI is useless? Absolutely not. AI is amazing and it is super, super useful, but we need to just look at AI as what it actually is outside of these lofty headlines. Because what AI tools, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, what they actually are is that they are useful tools that can save you time, they can write you some code, they can write maybe a first draft to an email or something like that, but they're not something that is going to replace you. If you use these in a professional setting in almost any way, you will probably agree that yes, they save you a lot of time, but ultimately you can't just let them do whatever they want. You ultimately, as the human, need to be the one actually reviewing the work and making sure it doesn't make mistakes, because especially as you get into something more complex, where there's just not that many examples out there in the model's training data on what to do, it just kind of becomes not so good in many cases, and you absolutely still need to have the know-how of programming or writing or design or whatever to actually make something specific and something niche, which is ultimately where the value is always going to be anyway. And again, as I've covered in previous videos, LLM tools are simply not the right category of product to create the kind of value that big companies create anyway, because what's valuable in the world is always something that is going to be specific, that is going to be new, that doesn't already exist somewhere else. And these are precisely the things that AI is not that good at doing, because what is AI good at? It is good at creating the kind of things that have been done many times before, like a skeleton for a React application or a simple website or a simple dashboard or something like that. But this is never where the value ever was. It's great if you build it the first version, but when you want to build something specific, something actually value creating, you still need to have the skills as the human to build on top of what AI did. And you can always use AI as a tool, but ultimately you need to have the understanding of the architecture, of the actual problem that you're trying to solve, of security, everything like this. And with all the improvements of AI, I haven't really seen much improvement in these areas, because these current LLM tools are simply not the right category of thing, and they're not designed to do something like this. So I hope that this makes you kind of understand where all of these headlines, all of this fear mongering is coming from, why these AI companies are putting it out. It's not because they themselves believe it, it's because they need to do this to get funding, to get attention, to get talent, or everything like this. So I hope that after watching this, you can now kind of learn to put that on the side and not take this too seriously, and to look at AI much more realistically as a useful tool that you should absolutely be using, but not something that is going to crash the economy, take all your jobs, or anything like that, especially when there's data available that actually shows that software engineering job posting, for example, are actually rising. And if you want to hear more details on that, where we go a bit deeper into specifically what AI means for the software development job market, which is a lot more positive than you again might think based on a lot of these headlines, you can watch this video right here. So watch that video next, and I will see you in the next video.